If I called all the shots, and if I could wave a magic wand, I would be sitting at a kitchen table with more and more Americans, talking to them about our plan to get the economy back on track and winning the war, and not having to rely on the old conventional ways of campaigning that includes those robocalls.
Yeah, I guess those old conventional ways are all she's got left since the Virginia Republican Party wants her to stay away from their guy. Let's bring back in our panel, Bill Press, Jack Rice, Ernest Istuk. Bill Press, she just isn't going to go away, especially if the elections turn out the way the polls are. She might be a player in all this.
Yeah, I love Sarah's principles, right? I'm not sure we know what Sarah's principles are, but we know that hard work is not one of them, sticking to your job is not one of them, thrift is not one of them, and consistency is not one of them. So what they are, who knows? But I got to tell you, I don't want to be too tough on her because, to me, she is the dream candidate for 2012.
All right, Rush
Democrats.
All right, the drugster got a bunch of airtime yesterday on Fox. Roger Ailes decides to hit back at the White House by putting Limbaugh on. Here's how he describes the President of the United States.
He's a child. I think he's got a 5-minute career. He was in the Senate for 150 days. He was a community organizer in Chicago for however number of years. He really has no experience running anything. He's very young. I think he's got an out-of-this-world ego. I think he's very narcissistic. And he's able to focus all attention on him all the time. That description is simply a way to cut through the noise and say he's immature, inexperienced, in over his head.
Ernest, I could have sworn Rush was describing himself there. What do you think?
Well, you know, actually, Ed, I think you and Rush have a lot in common. You both use a lot of exaggeration, a lot of hyperbole. You know, some people would say it's a bizarro world type of thing. But, yeah, I mean, Rush does exaggeration for effect, and
so
you do
you
too.
agree that
and
the
it's
president's
effective in both of your cases.
Do you agree with Rush that the president's a man-child? I mean, he's the head of the Republican Party, isn't he?
You know, some of us, I think to some extent, all of us want to be a man-child. You know, I never want to totally grow up, and you probably don't either. But again, you know, you've got a way with words. Rush has a way with words. You just don't like it because you disagree. But you use the same principles, and you're good at it, Ed.
All right. Well, thank you, Ernest. I'm glad you think I'm good at all this.
I didn't say you're right. I just said you're good at it.
Jack Rice, this is what the Republican Party does, probably better than any political party in the history of the country, especially at this particular time, to just hit back at any way they possibly can, get personal, get down and dirty. Is it going to work? Will it have an effect?
Actually, I'm thrilled to death that Rush is doing this. I'm thrilled to death that Sarah Palin is doing this. A recent poll said the Republicans represent about 20 to 23% of America. That's 1 in 5. And I think what this really highlights is they are essentially this right-wing fringe group. Conservatives are leaving them. Latinos are leaving them. Women are leaving them. African Americans are leaving them. You cannot win a national race if all you think you're going to get are white men. And that's all they're looking at right now. And if that means they take the race in northern New York, then fine. I'm actually pleased because 2010 actually looks better for Democrats than it did before.
One thing I do notice about Limbaugh when he gets interviewed, he always operates, Bill Press, in very generic terms. A guy can't get detailed. Makes me think he doesn't know the details unless he's reading his producer's copy on it. Off the top of his head, Limbaugh does not have the details.
No. But you know what gets me, Ed? I mean, he is accusing Barack Obama of having a massive ego. I mean, that is like being called ugly by a frog, isn't it? Right?
All right, gentlemen, we got to run.